Hi everyone, welcome to our next episode in today's continuation of Loving Yonge Street. We are walking northbound on Yonge Street on the east side of the street. And it is Friday the 4th of February. Thank you very much for joining me. This video will take us to Eglinton. So this whole section here, across the street where the camera is angling, is going to be coming down soon because they are going to be erecting a tall building. I'm sure it's going to be condos. So yeah, that whole corner section is going to be coming down. This is a Shoppers Drug Mart. I remember 30 plus years ago, this Shoppers Drug Mart used to be a French restaurant called Beaufanger. And then I think that Shoppers Drug Mart has been here probably for around 30 years. Because that Belsize restaurant, I remember going there in '91, and then I think it closed shortly thereafter, within a couple of years thereafter. So I hope you are enjoying this series, Loving Yonge Street. I did, I think, 3 or 4 episodes of Loving Yonge Street last month. And 2 more today. I want to do just 1 more episode. I don't think it's going to happen today, but I'm going to do 1 more episode from Eglinton to Lawrence. And then I want to go right to the bottom of Yonge Street at the water and then walk up and do a few episodes until I get to Bloor. So I'll do that at some point. It's not necessarily a consistent Loving Yonge Street series, but I thought I'd change it up a bit. I've always loved this area right here. This is the York Minster Park Baptist Church, just where the camera is angling. I think this is all their property here. This park is so pretty, like almost any time of the year. Especially, of course, in the summer when all the trees have their leaves. It's just such a pretty park, and I don't think I'd ever spent any time in here. I think the only time I ever spent time here was, oh gosh, oh man, it would have been mid-90s. I was going to dinner at someone's house, and I needed to bring, I remember I came down here I had to buy a cake, so I bought a cake in the neighborhood, And before I headed to the dinner, which wasn't far from here, I sat in that park, and this was back in my smoking days. I remember sitting in that park and having a cigarette. I think that's the only time I ever spent in that park. What a poor way to spend in a park, smoking a cigarette. What a contradiction that is. A beautiful green park full of trees, and there I am, polluting it. Those days are long gone. Hallelujah. So Valentine's Day is coming up real soon, folks. I mentioned in my last video, probably in all of my Yonge Street videos, how much I love Yonge Street. Years ago, well, it was pre-pandemic, I remember there was an organized walk through the cemetery, and it was held in October 2019, and it was on a Sunday. And so the point of the walk was not necessarily to, point out maybe famous people that were that are buried here, but rather to talk about the trees and all the different species of trees that are in the cemetery, of which there are many. And this is a great place also to come for bird watchers. Anyway, I came for this walking tour to look at the trees, and there was don't remember his name, and he is a tree specialist, and I don't remember what his proper official professional title is or was. He has since retired, but he knew a lot about all the different trees that were planted in this park and where they came from, and some history around them. And I learned to identify the difference between white oak and red oak trees. It's the shape of the leaves are slightly different. And we looked at there was a regenerating, what was it called? Evergreen? Regenerating spruce? No, evergreen. Anyhow, it was the changing of a tree. How can I explain this? So tree looks one way, but then this particular tree is called Regenerating Alberta something. And at a certain point in its growth, the pattern of the tree and the leaves, or the cones or pines rather, change shape. So it looks like two trees that are glued together. That's what it looks like. And it's really a cool thing. I've never noticed that before, never heard of that before, but it was a very cool thing to see it. And it's not common, but it's also not that uncommon, if that makes any sense. It's called Regenerating Alberta something. Darn it, I wish I could remember. And last year, when I first got my camera, I came in here, I did a cemetery walk. Anyhow, that video had to be dubbed because that's when I recorded with a chest mount, and I placed the camera in my chest mount, and the audio was so poor you couldn't hear anything. I mean, that could have been a good thing actually, but I was talking about some of the trees, and that might have been interesting to some people. But I might do that again, although I don't remember a lot about what I was talking about back then. I can't even remember the name of that. tree that is just on the tip of my tongue. And years before that, would have been late 90s, maybe 96. I think 96. I came here, I was living working rather in Mississauga, and a work friend of mine and I came down here because there was a cemetery tour. And the historian of the cemetery talked about, he showed us where different known people, were buried. There's politicians, and I think there was a famous Canadian actress, I think Davis, something Davis. Anyhow, she was like, I think a silent screen actress. She was one of the, she was married to Douglas Fairbanks Sr., I think. What's her name? And she was one of the originators of United Artists. Anyway, she's buried here. And of course, some famous Torontonians, business people. Cemetery's been around for a long time. A lot of burial plots from the 1800s. If you're ever interested, it's not a gloomy thing to go for a cemetery tour. It's rather really interesting and more historical than anything. If you're interested in people and their history, you find out a lot about the city that you're in as well, because some of the people that were spoken about contributed to the evolution of Toronto. Here we are coming up to the Davisville subway station. And that's also the head office, I think, of the TTC right there. Yeah, it is. If I do need to take the subway downtown, I usually hop onto the Davisville subway station here. And there's also the number 5 bus that goes up University. I used to catch that when I used to work in Bloor. I didn't feel like walking home. I would take the bus. This building here is now condos. It's been condos for maybe close to 20 years. 15 for sure. It used to be a Ontario, I'm pretty sure it was a government building. I'm pretty sure it was provincial versus federal. So here we are at Davisville Avenue. We are looking westbound on Davisville. Actually, it's called Chaplin. When it's west of Yonge Street, it's called Chaplin Crescent. But we are on the Davisville Avenue side, which is the east side. In that corner building right there, you can see it's closed up. It says for lease. That used to be a Starbucks until the pandemic. There are a few fruit and vegetable markets along this stretch north of Davisville, south of Eglinton. These little standalone fruit and vegetable markets. And they always have a pretty good variety of fresh fruits and vegetables. In this condo where the camera is facing, there used to be, if you can see just to the east, there's some low-rise housing there. Not low-rise, they're just houses, or duplexes. But there used to be 2 low-rise apartment buildings on this side, on Millwood Road right here. And they were torn down. There was also a Rogers and an LCBO that was also located here. They tore all these little shops down. They were low rises, and they built this rather tall condo. Again, from this side of the street, it's only about 4 stories, but it's a taller build behind. But LCBO just came back to this location this past spring, as you can see. And that Ritchie frame right across the street, that shop actually used to be located on this side when it was low-rise buildings. They moved across the street there. You know, it's funny now that VCR tapes are no longer. We used to go to Rogers, that used to be located in this section here that I told you that was just torn down and now rebuilt. There used to be a big Rogers shop that had all VCRs to rent. And it was a big store, a Rogers store, that also sold phones and whatever. Anyhow, now it's down to this little shop right here on the corner. And I think that's just phone service. Yeah, it's teeny tiny. But that used to actually be a corner convenience store right there. But when Rogers moved in, they fixed it up and made it a little bit more modern looking. But those apartments up above have always been there. Hot black coffee. Oh. Yeah, I remember this shop. Yeah, I remember that restaurant's no longer there. Sagono. Here where you see this corner here where you see Struck 2 just across the street, and you can see that condo there. Right in that corner there used to be a coffee shop. What was it called? Dunkin' Donuts or something? Coffee Time, I think. Coffee Time. Maybe you could smoke in there. That coffee shop, that was torn down to make room for this condo. Yeah, I remember there was a smoking section back in those days. Thank goodness. We've been to Tabbouleh no, just once actually. This Tabbouleh Middle Eastern cuisine. That's okay. Not great. We have not been here. There used to be a Italian restaurant here. Now it's a Thai food restaurant, but there used to be an Italian restaurant there. It was yummy. And this is where this Global Pet Foods. This is where I used to pick up my Physics, our dog, has food. This is a really good Italian store right here, La Samaria. It's a deli, so they make sandwiches if you're interested. But you can also buy, meats and cheeses and some specific Italian oils and things from Italy, food-wise. This is one of our favorite restaurants right here. Little Sister. Yummy. And it's always busy, this place. Always busy. That's a good thing. They make such yummy food. And this, what was this called? There's this restaurant here. Oh my goodness, I forget the name of it. Anyhow, it was such a popular restaurant 30 years ago. Now it's sort of divided up into two spots where you can see the blue, that's an oyster store, and this here was just a continuation of that blue, where that blue store is. That used to be one big restaurant. And they lived upstairs, the owners lived upstairs. And they used to have, there was a central back patio. It was nice. It was nice. And I remember when I moved here in '89, there used to be a lineup to get into that restaurant. It was a cash cow for the longest time. And like a lot of restaurants, they're in and out of fashion. And, but anyhow, that restaurant shut down a few years ago, maybe more than a few years ago. And, it was vacant for quite a while, and looks like part of it, just only part of it now, has been leased out to that oyster store. And here, where it's skis and bikes, this store right here, it used to be, 25 years ago, it used to be a really yummy restaurant called Zaza's. It was so yummy. But it shut because I think it was just too big. And then skis and bikes moved in. Here, Rosalinda, that store was here forever. And that store is now near the Davisville subway station on the west side of Yonge Street. I'm not sure why they moved. Oh, and this is a really cute, super cute store. Potato skins. It's a good place to come if you need your couches covered, temporary covers that you can take on and off. And they also make these really cute custom. We did get a pillow, I think from here, from my mother-in-law at the Thousand Islands. Now this corner here where the camera is angling, you can see that two-story building. That's a variety store on the main floor, and there's apartments on top. That's coming down real soon. This is a presentation gallery. This used to be, 25 years ago, a restaurant called Mediterraneo, and then it was called, until recently, what's it called? La Society? I can't remember what the name of it is, or what the name of it was, but it was popular. It was good. Oh, and then they left, and then another restaurant moved in. I think it was also a Mediterranean type restaurant, but not Mediterranean like the restaurant of 25 years ago, but it was only there for like a year.
We lock myself for a cake.
And across the street there, that used to be Sammy's garage. That's where we would take our cars, you know, to get the tires, winter tires taken on and off. And I used to take my car there. David used to take his car to the dealership, or still does take it to the dealership, but I would take my car there to get serviced. Oh, this restaurant finally opened up. I've been waiting. We've both been waiting for this restaurant to open up. It finally has. We are on Hillsdale. This is Hillsdale, and this restaurant has been under construction for a long time, and it's opened up. Oh, it's so good to see. It's called Oretta. Wow, it's Italian. Oh, but I have to tell David that, because I'm sure I was just here last week and that was still closed up, and it kept, you know, it was saying opening, I think it said end of December it was supposed to open. Oh, I'm so thrilled. We're gonna have to check that out. That's like a hop and a skip from our house. Oh yeah, David will be happy to hear that. So it looks like they were open for lunch, because it's not dinner time yet. Okay, here we are at Soudan, and here is like the Canadian Tire building, and that's scheduled to come down at some point. I have a friend that works at Canadian Tire, and he said, you know, with the pandemic and all that, he is in, you know, software, so it's easy for the software folks to work from home. He said he's probably never going back to the office before he retires, which will be in the next couple years. So he didn't state when, or he didn't know when the building would be coming down, but he said it won't be coming, he won't be going back in at least, or back to this location. So it's probably going to be a couple more years, I guess, at least until these buildings come down. It's hard to decipher when that's going to happen. And I remember this building here where the TD is, and these metro towers. I think they were called metro towers. And I remember when they were constructed, and this location here, these buildings didn't exist. There used to be an Ontario government building here, and there was a little park right beside it. And there was another government building here. There was two. But the one that was the government building that was further north, so probably would have been located here where this Keg and Starbucks is. It had other offices in there as well, not just government. I used to come here and get my license renewed, my driver's license. So we are approaching Eglinton. Oh, look at these little monkeys. Oh, they're so cute. Oh, they're so cute. Dogs, animals, period. Like, they just always look so good. They always look good. They're always attractive. They're always just looking so good. I've yet to meet an unattractive dog, cat, cow, turtle that's not attractive. They're just something about them magical. This is supposed to be coming down too, this building. Such nice marble though, isn't it? It's really nice marble. I remember when I first moved to Toronto, I thought this was such a nice looking building. But it is going to be coming down as well at some point. All right, folks, here we are. This concludes today's video. Thank you very much for joining me in my loving Yonge Street episodes. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Please consider subscribing to my channel and smashing that like box. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. This is Boomer Girl Walking, signing off. Bonus, there's a dog. Bye, folks.